Welcome back to Into the Abyss. We have a week coming to Halloween. So we are going to share just our favorite, it doesn't have to be spooky, but our favorite or most memorable Halloween memories. Memorable Halloween memories. You know it's getting close to 10 o'clock at night when I trot out a line like that. What do you guys start?
You also know it's 2 or 3 drinks deep.
That's true. What's your most impactful Halloween memory?
You want to go ahead, Chuck?
Sure, I'll go ahead.
All right.
Impactful and favorite are a different thing for me.
That is true. That is true.
So, for me, it was pretty low-key. I mean, I live out in the boondocks, or I grew up living out in the boondocks, so there wasn't a whole lot going on with Halloween. I'm not running around. The whole Halloween feels very suburban to me, a lot of what's there, because there's that interaction going on in the neighborhood. We would go to Waverly, go to the suburbs there. I had an aunt who lived there, and we'd go around trick-or-treating and stuff like that. That's about the extent for us, and we didn't do a whole lot of decorating, because, again, we're out in the middle of nowhere. There's no one to decorate for. But we had fun. Costumes were a big thing, and my parents were actually very good at making costumes. I remember one. This is back when now it's pretty common. You see you see the character is dressed. It looks like the legs are there. It looks like they're riding a dinosaur or riding something else there.
Right.
My parents way back in the day made one where I was like a cowboy riding an ostrich, and people were trying to figure out how are the legs up here, but he's running and stuff like that. People couldn't figure it out.
That's from Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Yeah, something like that.
Island of Misfit Toys.
Yes. But
oh my god, I should know that.
Yeah, but I would say maybe favorite memory, but it's very vague now. It's not most impactful. I'll get to that in a minute. Favorite, I vaguely remember being dressed as Elf. I remember us making the costume. My parents, maybe I can get a picture. We'll post it on here. It was a spot-on Elf costume, and I was the right height. I was very young. It looked like Elf, back when Elf was in his prime as a TV series. It looked so real that they had ended up having me in a parade, and people then saw me in the parade and said, "Can you go visit the sick kids in the hospital?" So favorite memory, I don't remember the hospital. I vaguely remember being in there seeing some kids, but I don't remember individuals, but I remember it happening. So favorite memory is that as a kid myself, I went to the hospital dressed as Elf, visiting sick kids in the hospital and cheering them up. And the costume was spot on. I have to get a picture because it was so well done.
Chuck still has it. He still has that costume.
I still wear it. I pull it out tight. Most impactful, part of the reason it's impactful is because it was later. The last year I dressed up for Halloween, my grandmother used to work at a nursing home. And I'm at that point where I'm I want candy, but I don't want to put effort into a costume. So I just put on a wig and had, dressed up. And I don't remember what it was. I don't think it was a person. Just kind of cross-dressed kind of thing like that. Just dressed up as a woman. Just going out there. My sister was younger, so I remember her going trick-or-treating. But we stopped by the nursing home to visit my grandmother just to say hi on Halloween. And while I'm standing there dressed as this woman, some old guy comes up to me and thought I was his dead wife and starts patting my hair and combing my hair and talking to me. And he has dementia or something like that. I mean, it's a nursing home, and he's trying to figure out why his wife is there. And I felt all sorts of wrong, and I'm I'm not doing Halloween anymore. So, so I'll have that one. I'll bring out one more memory. I'm going to take all your time.
Thanks,
Tom. One more memory. My favorite prank one was apartment my wife and I had. We were upstairs, and there was it goes upstairs, it turns around, and there's a little bit of a platform up above, and then you go into the door. And I hung a giant spider from the stairs, and we set out a bucket of candy for the trick-or-treaters to come in and get, and we had spooky music and everything like that. And then in come the high schoolers, and you know there's a difference. You have all the kids coming in there and they're trick-or-treating, trick-or-treat, and it's cute, and you hand out the candy. And then you have the high schoolers come in there, and they're just having a grand old time. It's not even really about the candy. They're just out with friends. So I had a little bit of fun with them. I waited to the guys there. It's all cross-dressing stories. The guys were all dressed up as women. The girls that were all with them were dressed up as different characters, but the guys were all 3 guys dressed up as women. And the one guy walks up. You can tell he's never been in high heels before, and he's trying to manage his way across there. But he's also the big head honcho of the group, and he's the big outgoing personality. He goes up there first, and he's kind of showing off. He's like, "I'm going to steal the candy," and stuff like that. He's talking, and I dropped the spider, which was designed to fall inches from the bowl. Dropped it right as he was there. He screamed. He lost his wig. He fell down in the high heels, and just fell down in his skirt and is screaming out. freaked him out. That was fantastic. Great Halloween memory.
He didn't ruin his life or anything.
No. His friends laughed, and then he laughed about it. It was a good old time.
Tom.
All right. Well, I see that Chuck decided to jump on a few of them. I will too. I mean, I'm going to start off saying, as an adult, I enjoy when people enjoy Halloween. I enjoy that they're like, you know what? I want to put a little effort into this. I want to have some type of costume that's great, that's unique. And actually, you know what? As teachers, we see that because, well, next Friday, I have no doubt there's going to be some dressing up. And it's amazing how many of the students, they really put some thought into their costumes, and we've seen a whole bunch of them. There's one I remember the most back in 2016. It was 2016? Yeah, I think it was 2016. I'm not sure. It might have been 2017. We had a few kids dressed up as that large, bald, bespectacled mustache guy from the 2016 presidential debates. The one who stole the show. It was the town hall debates. Mm-hmm. Like, everyone fell in love with this guy who was wearing this red sweater. Mm-hmm. He was kind of chubby, mustache, glasses. But okay, if there's one, because when Kevin brought this up, thinking, I'm trying to think of a good one. It finally came to me. This is back when I was younger, and to me, and to my family, it was like, Halloween, you get out there, you take your pillowcase, and you fill that sucker.
Oh yeah.
Okay, it was an endurance round.
Well, my children are done after like an hour. Like, what? My wife and I were like, "What is wrong with you? You fill that bowl. You fill that bag."
That's all you're eating for the next month,
yeah.
kid. Well, I mean, we lived on a very big hill, so I mean, it was very tough walking around. But it was great how many people were still involved, and you just hit as many houses as you can. If you can get half that pillowcase fill, that's a success. And, our dad would eat the Snickers bar, saying he was inspecting it. Then he'd leave you the apple. But my favorite memory has to be our neighbors, the Careys. They had a son, and he was like in his 20s, so he'd probably be in his 60s by now. That kills me. He came... No, he wasn't trick-or-treating, but he dressed up one year as the Headless Horseman. Nice. You have it so it's raised up so you don't see his head. Carved pumpkin. Mm-hmm. Living black horse. Oh. He got a horse from somewhere. Oh, nice. And there he was dressed up as the Headless Horseman. It was so great. And the thing is, they had to tell you that's just Patrick Carey. Okay, don't worry. Okay, that's not the Headless Horseman, because that was really scary if you think about it. All they had to do was put some lighter fluid on it, set that pumpkin alight, and just race after you on his horse. You would see just nothing but pea streams all over up and down the street from kids running away. That was, again, it was a great memory. I loved that he went so out there. And this was back in the early 80s, by the way. So I'm not saying go out there and get a freaking horse or get...
No, do get a horse.
Get a horse.
Get a horse.
Make sure it's a black horse.
Bring a shovel. By the way, it's just not cool to leave that out there at night. But that was a great memory. So, Kevin?
So my favorite memory is... we used to go trick-or-treating. I can't remember the age. I want to say I was 10. My sister was 7. And there was a good friend of the family, a husband and wife that were friends with my parents. And we would stop off at their house. Their kids were all grown. And we would end up like in the living room or whatever counting our candy. And our parents would end up out in the dining room talking. So one year we were doing this, and we would always, ask permission to turn the TV on. It's so funny, like back in the day, I was so schooled by my parents. You must ask permission to turn the TV on. So like to this day, I still have to ask my mother-in-law permission to turn the TV on because But anyway, so we turned the TV on, and I don't know if either of you guys have seen this movie, but the movie that was on was the sci-fi movie called Saturn V, starring Kirk Douglas.
Oh.
I can't remember who else. It escapes me at this moment. But Saturn V is this movie about Kirk Douglas and some other hot chick. And they're on...
Some other hot chick is a guy.
No. There are some other hot chicks.
With Kirk Douglas, maybe I go that way.
This Kirk Douglas and this other hot chick. And they're on the space station. They're on the space station. They're doing...
You heard it here first on Into the Abyss. Kirk Douglas is a hot chick.
No, Kirk Douglas and I see how that's...
A hot chick.
Not another hot chick.
Just a hot chick.
Okay, so Kirk Douglas and a hot chick
off the rails. Just shove the whole train off the rails.
Anyway, they're on a space station doing sciencey stuff. This is a really long time since I've seen this movie. There was this one guy who wanted to, like, he was like either a homicidal maniac or something like that. He was on the run, and he faked all his credentials to make himself look like a scientist who was going to come join them. And he comes and joins them, and I don't remember the particulars. Believe it or not, I've never revisited this movie because it holds such a revered place in my mind. I'm afraid to go watch this movie and find out it doesn't stack up. But long story short, this homicidal maniac, obviously, when he gets there, he wants to twist everything to his advantage. There is this gigantic robot there that they've been using for, their labor and things like that. But the robot it's got human brains. Like the core of its nervous system is 5 human brains. And eventually what happens is the homicidal maniac starts linking himself to the robot and training the robot how to act. And, at one point there's a struggle and they kill the homicidal maniac, but it's too late. He's taught this robot like how to be weird and pervy. Like that's what I remember as a kid, that this leering robot is thinking about, Kirk Douglas's female, like,
I'm gonna say here. Like, first of all, I'm gonna say I think is it Saturn 3 maybe?
Yes, that's what it is. It's Saturn
Kirk Douglas,
3.
It's Farrah Fawcett.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Hot chick. I was right.
But not the other hot chick.
Yeah, and it was just, I got to be honest, I have never gone back and revisited this movie because I'm afraid that it will not live up to the absolute terror that I remember watching this show. But it was a sci-fi movie, but like I was freaking out over the fact that a robot had human brains. And not only that, this psycho had trained the robot to be pervy. So the robot's like looking at Farrah Fawcett and thinking, hey there. And I was like, for me,
you got your poster? I can sign it for me.
So for me as a kid, like I said, I didn't become a horror writer until many years later. But to be watching this, this was a horror film. And this was on Halloween night as I'm, trading candy with my sister and watching this movie and being like, yeah, I don't care about the candy anymore. And I just couldn't stop watching.
And his sister was giving him like bit of honey and all the terrible stuff.
Right, yeah.
Oh, so, Kevin, you don't watch Three Musketeers? Okay.
So the night I saw Saturn 3 with Kirk Douglas, that, like I said, that was just the hazy memories of that night are like burned into my brain.
So it's funny, Kevin's got like hazy sugar high memories back then, and now it's hazy alcoholic high memories now. But those are our great memories of Halloween. I think you've all had them as well. And if any of our students are watching, you should be in bed.
And here's a pro tip. I'll give a pro tip. Yeah. By the way, if you do trunk or treating, if you give out candy at trunk or treating, use a vehicle that has high suspension because you can hide under the car and freak people out by grabbing their legs while they're getting candy at the trick or treating.
Jerk, man.
It is awesome. They will jump and scream so high.